Hello, this is the Nightline Podcast. My name's James Pikeway, and if you want to learn more about the program, please go to www.dubai1038.com or email us, nightline@dubai1038.ae. Enjoy the show.
Motoring Middle East is in the house. We're talking cars. This is your opportunity. If you've got a question about that ride that you really want, or that person's pulled up beside you in something, you're thinking, is it worth it? Should I really go out and spend some money on that thing, or nah? This is the show to get involved in, because Imtishan and Shahzad are here. These guys pretty much have driven anything and everything that's on the road, and if they haven't...
And even some things that are not on the road.
Yeah, even some things that aren't, and they've got an opinion on them all, so this is really a great opportunity. And I want to kick off, Shahzad, because you've been out sort of test driving today.
Yeah.
Mercedes.
I have, yeah, the new E-Class, the brand new E-Class. And we had, it was not so much of a test drive today, although stay tuned because I will be getting the car in a few weeks' time, and I'll be doing a proper review on the car. But today was more about the technical briefing. Mercedes wanted to give us a sort of training, a sort of semi-training day on this car, because there's so much new tech on it that they wanted to sort of talk us through it.
So if I go out and buy an E-Class, are they going to give me a tech training seminar with it, or?
You know what? They probably should. They probably should, because it's that complex, you know. There is a lot of gizmos, a lot of gadgets, and we tested the E200, so I'm not talking like, I mean, yes, they were well-spec'd E200, so they were avant-garde or AMG spec E200.
But they're decent. An E200 is a nice size. It's not too big, not too small.
That's right. And then I think it's 190 brake horsepower engine and stuff like that. But today wasn't so much about the performance and stuff. I mean, again, we'll talk about that when I get the car properly.
But was it a sweet car, though?
Yeah, it's a sweet ride. Definitely. I mean, it is an E-Class. It's what you expect.
And it's a Mercedes-Benz.
It's a Mercedes, It's
when you
a
close the door,
and it's wonderful, and I want it, and that's it, Yeah. And you feel like you have made it, okay? And you got the Mercedes, and you're fine. And that's the car. So that's what that is. It stays true to that E-Class ethos. Hey, how about that? E-Class ethos, yeah. But what this one does is it just takes that technology envelope a lot further. So a lot of stuff that we've seen in cars already, like, sort of semi-autonomous features like, collision avoidance, collision braking, automatic parking.
Check.
It's got all of those things, but it's sort of taken them all to the next
level. So they've just made them better, and it's sort of put that Mercedes cherry on top of it.
So, for example, just a very quick example, a self-parking thing, right? So normally most people will know that if you want to park, I'm just looking at Imtishan because he's making some very bizarre hand gestures, But so, for example, if you want to park, normally you have to turn a button on, and then it will start looking for parking spaces, right? And so what happens is that then it tries to measure parking spaces, right, as it drives past them.
Yeah.
Now, what this car does is it's doing that all the time. So It's not when you press the button. It's like when you're under 35 kilometers per hour, i.e. you're cruising around looking for a parking space, it's doing that all the time. It's already looking for parking spaces. So if you tell it, oh, that's a space I want to park in, you then press the button. So unlike other systems where you then have to then accelerate and brake, and the car does the steering, in this particular instance, you don't have to do anything. Once you've put it into drive or into reverse and let go of the brake, it does everything. Now here's a funny thing.
Okay, how many sensors does it have
a ton.
To do this?
In fact, it's got 2 cameras. So the higher spec ones have got 2 cameras, and I'll come back to that in a minute, in the windscreen itself. And 2 of them, and that's because it wants to create a 3D image, and I'll come back to why in a minute. Just finishing the parking thing, this thing, it's so bizarre because it parks like a human. So what we did is we went past a slot, and we told it that we want to forward park in that slot. So therefore we made it more difficult. So it couldn't reverse into the slot. It had to reverse back and the other way and then drive forward into the parking slot. So it did that, but it was quite a tight space. So it did it, and it went into the space, and then it decided that it wasn't happy. It wasn't happy.
The car wasn't happy.
It decided that it wasn't happy, that it wasn't quite central enough. So it reversed back out again.
Wow.
And parked itself correctly back in again. I thought that was so spooky.
So it's done the measurements and it's gone, this isn't good.
It actually has done the measurements because it leaves the exact amount of distance on each side so you can open the doors. So once it's in the slot, it looks at it and it goes, nah, not happy with that. That was shoddy parking. I'm going to do it again.
So
it backs out and it does it again. Now, just quickly, going back to the cameras, for example, on the front. Now, it's got radars and everything, so it's got pedestrian sensing, but the cameras are the next level. So what the cameras do is they create 3D image of surrounds, so that actually gives you depth of field as well. Why do you have 2 eyes? Because you have depth of field. So that's what it does. Now, part of what they've done for pedestrian safety, for people safety, is they have programmed the computer with 10,000 images representing a human form.
Wow.
So it can recognize, so even if somebody's standing still like a statue, it can recognize that that's probably a human because it has 10,000 configurations.
That it's constantly measuring
Yeah,
against.
so it's constantly looking out and thinking, yeah, that's a human, that's a human, that's a human, so it just knows, that's a human. There is a failing in the system, though, because we said, what if somebody, say a scenario is that somebody's crossing the road and they've tripped and they've fallen.
Yeah.
If they're flat on the ground, the car won't recognize them.
Okay.
They just become a speed bump. So the moral of the story there is, despite all of these incredible safety systems in this car, and for example, before we came on air, I was telling you that if you do want to avoid a collision with an obstacle or pedestrian, it will brake and come to a complete halt. But if you decide, for example, no, I want to swerve around there. So a lot of people might swerve once and then forget to swerve back or lose control of the car.
Yeah.
What it does is it detects that you've made that initial swerving movement. It then takes over the driving for you.
Takes over to correct.
It takes over the correct. So it does all of these things. So,
Wow.
but my point being that it's eerily good. It's not infallible though,
Right.
and you still have to do the driving,
So
and you
you-
can override the systems at any point.
So you're still going to drive, you're still going to do all these things, but
Yeah.
it is there to help where your imperfections.
Basically, it's trying to just make you safer and your occupants safer and people around you safer. So, for example, in addition to forward collision, what's the most common type of accident? Is being rear-ended, right?
Yeah.
So this car is constantly monitoring behind itself as well. And if it
Okay.
detects that there's a collision possibly from the back, the flashes, the hazards will start flashing, and the car, all the safety systems will come on in the car. So the seat belts will tighten up, the airbags will be prepped, everything, so it will already start to prepare for that.
Wow.
And it will lock the brakes.
Wow.
So, for example, you will have seen a lot of people get rear-ended, and then they may drive into the car in front, or they may
Yeah.
drive into the middle of a traffic junction, for example.
Yeah.
And it could get worse. So it will automatically stop the car from doing that.
Wow.
It's just bizarre.
I mean, all I've been saying for the last 5 minutes is wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, you should have been there. In fact, if people want to see some of the demonstrations, some of the technical briefing of this car, and they want to see some of the live demonstrations, I Facebook Live the whole thing this afternoon, and it's on the Motoring Middle East Facebook page right
There
now.
you go. So go to Motoring Middle East, go to their Facebook page, go and take a look at what they were talking about with this E-Class, with the Mercedes E-Class, and the safety features and the technology built into the vehicle. What is, say, a 200? What's it going to run me?
So the price that they gave us at the event, bear in mind that this is from the head office,
Yeah.
but it's supposed to be a regional price. I haven't converted it into dirhams. They told me $52,700, $52,700 is the starting price for the E200.
Okay. So
I'll convert it in a minute and let you know what it is.
we're not talking the most economical vehicle to buy, but from what you saw, when we start looking at $52,000, you're doing the conversion into dirhams. That still sounds to me like you're getting value for your dirham,
Yeah,
considering
that's 194,000 dirhams. So, if your priority, for example, you are getting a Mercedes, you're getting a Mercedes badge, but if
Yeah.
your priority is safety, comfort, ease of driving, just, being comfortable in a car, and just being at
this
ease
is
with
this is a
everything.
luxury car as well. I mean,
It's essentially a luxury car, and there's enough space. I rode in the back of the car as well today, and I'm 6'2", and I had no issues at all. So yeah, it's if you've dreamt about, if you're not, it's the perfect car for people that are not into cars, but they've always dreamt of having a Mercedes. This is the car they need.
there we go.
Which is what the E-Class has always been. Let's be honest. So
Yeah.
it's just more of that, but 10 times better.
You're listening to Car Talk. If you want to get involved in the program, it's really easy to do. Motoring Middle East is here, and we're taking your questions. You're wondering what you're tuned into. 04-423-1010 is the phone number. 4001 is the SMS line. This is Car Talk. And guys, got a great message that's come through from Ahmed. You're going to love this one. Are you ready for this?
You go on.
Okay. He says, I just sold my C200 AMG package, 2010 model, and bought a V6 brand new Durango. I was looking for more space. He goes, I'm feeling like I gave away the Mercedes easily at 21% of its original price.
21% for a 2010 model.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know.
Wow.
No, what we don't know from Ahmed in the story is whether or not he traded in at the dealer or whether he went for private sale.
But either way, the fact is that, it used to be the case with a Mercedes that it was a solid investment.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Regardless of when you're going to sell it or whatever.
I always thought it was.
Yeah.
21%.
But 21%. But I mean, if he just did that now, then that kind of makes sense. Although he doesn't say when he did it, because at the moment the market's down, especially during this summer. It's very, very down.
Yeah.
So trying to dispose of a car right now is extremely difficult. So anybody out there thinking of selling or even trading in would probably wait. Trading in is probably a better option.
Yeah.
Because some of the dealers are willing to make deals because they need to sell metal. But trying to sell it privately right now, I would probably hold off for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is great news for me because I'm going to be selling a car soon.
Lucky you.
This show is a case of, do as we say, don't do as we do.
Now, we've got another message from a different Ahmed, not the Ahmed who sold his C200 and got a Durango. Great. I guess the question for Ahmed, are you happy with the Durango? I mean, what a nice vehicle. I mean, really, when you start looking at getting a 7-seater, something that has presence, full of options, drives well, and has those really wicked, beautiful tail lights.
Oh, the tail lights alone sell it for me. Do you know what I mean? That does it,
And if you're driving it, you never get to see them because you're in it.
Yeah, no, but you just look so cool cruising down the road, right? Everybody else is looking at you, pointing, going, wow, check out his tail lights. I don't know if you can say it like that, but anyway. So,
it sounds completely wrong, but...
it sounds wrong when I say it. But for example, the old CLS.
Yes.
You remember that? You remember the tail lights on there, the little teardrop LED shape that they have?
Yeah.
I mean, I once followed a car around just to keep looking at its tail lights because it was so beautiful. Okay, that's a bit sad. I shouldn't have admitted that on air, right? But sometimes it is just the one feature of a car that gets you. For example, one of my favorite features on the current Mercedes S-Class, admittedly I haven't driven the AMG version, but I've driven I think it was an S400, is the stereo system. The Burmeister stereo system. Unbelievable.
See,
Unbelievable.
It can be such simple things that make you go, I need this vehicle, and it just all works.
Exactly.
Here's a great observation from Ahmed, and he's coming back. We were talking about the Mercedes E-Class and all of some of these safety features and electronic features that you had the opportunity to get briefed on today by Mercedes. And he's come back and says, I just want to raise a point. He says, if you're driving knowing that all these safety features are available, don't you think that this might make you careless and ultimately going back to square one as opposed to advancing your own personal driving skills?
I couldn't agree more with him, honestly speaking. I mean,
this is my concern. I mean, I'm waving the flag because I think this is great. I love technology.
Yeah.
But
I was there this afternoon, overawed and amazed by what is technically possible. So on an intellectual level, it's fascinating and heartening and just incredible to know that this level of development has been done. The car has been with us 130 years, and now that we're getting to a point where cars are going to be driving themselves very, very soon. It is going to happen. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I had the same exact thoughts as Ahmed. It's like all of this stuff is making us lazier. All of this stuff is making us more complacent while we're driving. All of this stuff is encouraging us to be on Facebook rather than concentrating on actually driving the car,
I don't have to worry as much because the car's going to sort it out. The car's there to protect me. I'm not going to have to worry.
Some of the guys were joking because one of the features that the Mercedes has is at slower speed, at traffic speeds, it gives you a 60-second window where if you take your hands off the steering wheel, it will control the car for 60 seconds before it starts issuing you warnings until it starts, virtually slapping you on the wrist for not paying attention. But you have that 60-second window. So imagine for a lot of people that's like, well, okay, I can go through 7 Facebook posts in 60 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on the one hand, you might think, well, that's good, but on the other hand, you think, well, and again with the parking thing, it's like, I'm still old-fashioned. I still look over my shoulder when I'm reverse parking. I still do all of these things. And you just think with cars that park themselves now, where's the skill of even knowing how to maneuver a car correctly into a small spot,
And you look at the kind of electronics that you're talking about now, they all work very well in the real world, but you introduce the slightest amount of problem, i.e. debris, dirt, or whatever that blocks up a camera, and suddenly, boom, we've got a situation where it just could get spiraled out of hand. I'm not saying the Mercedes hasn't thought of these things, but you need to be able to do it. I'll give you a good example. Off-roading. Now, the same thing that's happening on road where cars are becoming increasingly more autonomous. That's the A word, as we're going to call it.
Yeah.
The same thing is happening off-road. Now, a lot of people like Toyota, like Jeep, try to keep things back to basics. But a lot of people don't understand how to use, when to use a diff lock, a simple thing. They don't even know what a diff lock is.
Yeah.
A lot of people have gone to the sand, I've watched them struggle, and you see them spinning their wheels, They're not even low range. They don't know when to use it. They don't know why they have that little lever there, the button. So what Land Rover did was basically put everything down to like little hieroglyphics. Okay, you look at the sand icon, turn the dial to the sand icon, the car knows what to do. You turn it to the rock icon, the car knows what to do. Now that's good, right? That makes it idiot-proof off-road. Anybody can get in there and drive a Land Rover. However, the next step that Land Rover is planning is the part that scares me, because they want to do autonomous off-roading.
I think that might be taking it just too far. How is it going to read the dunes?
How do you do autonomous sand? I mean, sand driving out here as well. Okay, if you're in the mud and so on, if you're on like a Scottish bog, a peat bog, yeah, okay, fine. That system works. Because you're moving very slowly. But in the sand, you're doing a lot of things. You're looking 2 dunes ahead. You're looking over the angle. You don't know what's there. You need to be able to drive the car and control the car and know what to do. And a lot of people get into trouble because they don't understand what the car does as it is. Now, if you're relying on the computers to do it, what if they don't know?
Yeah, it worries me.
But you know what? Take that a step further. And I'm slightly hesitating to say what I'm going to say next. So I won't name the manufacturer, but there's a rumor that a certain very well-known, very well-liked super sports car verging on supercar, the next generation of this car is going to have an autonomous track mode. So you know, like you can put your Gran Turismo game on or whatever and go, right, you know, I want to see all the lines, and you just press the button and the car will go drive itself around. This will be real world. The car will already know the best lines around all of the tracks that it's programmed into it. So you could turn up, for example, at Yas Marina Circuit and go, right, Yas Marina Circuit, Grand Prix Circuit, go. And just be a passenger in this thing.
You could probably sit in the passenger seat. And isn't that really frightening?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I should be very clear.
I want a Fraser Martin driving me around a track who knows a car and knows what's going on.
I'm not actually scared of the car driving here, because the car will do the same lap every time with military precision. It'll know when the brake pads are running low. Yeah. I'm not scared about the car doing it. But as a driver, what happens to your skill set when you just get, you know what, I'm bored. I'm going to let the car press the autoplay button and the car will know what to do.
The thing is, you know people are going to do this. So I think
how long before somebody Snapchats on a track while being driven around at speed?
I think Ahmed's brought up a key point. Is, you know, is it going to ultimately, where's the fine line, and how are we going to work this into the education of drivers and the re-education?
Well, you can't, can you? You can't. I mean, this is I was discussing this with some of the guys over at Mercedes, and I was like, okay, so what's to stop people? People already are Snapchatting whilst they're driving. This has become such a common phenomenon. I saw
people doing this today. I saw people on their phones again today, and I was driving by and I'm going, really? Why are you on your phone? This is mega dangerous.
But people are driving along, holding the phone up, Snapchatting whilst they're driving, you know. So then what do you do? Do you say, well, you can't, if you can't enforce that, what do you do? Well, maybe I said to Mercedes, well, why don't you just build it into the car? Right? Because at the moment you're having to hold the phone and press a button. Why don't you just have a Snapchat mode in the car? Why don't you just have a Snapchat
Why not
app?
have a camera mounted up on the A-pillar that looks at you, and just press a button, it goes right. But you know what, that doesn't work either, because you need to concentrate while driving. And you cannot
but you're talking on the phones anyway. But that's the point of these autonomous systems, is that they're not requiring you to concentrate as much as you should be. I agree with you, you should be, but people feel that they don't have to.
An example of a car that's not available in this market, Toyota Tacoma. The new Tacoma that we haven't got and probably will never get, comes with an optional GoPro mount.
Wow.
So that you can mount it inside the car, looking out, or you can mount it on the bed. I think you actually turn around and look in as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's just, I mean, you can't broadcast with a GoPro. Although, can you now? You can broadcast.
You probably can
Facebook Live. So now you got somebody watching your every move. And it just, to me, is
very
frightening.
But you know, in Europe, and I think in countries like Russia, they already have that anyway, because they always have dash cams now.
Yeah, but those are looking out.
They're looking out. But they are just constantly recording, you know. So, I mean, you're getting to a point where, you know, you might as well start building these systems into the car.
Yeah.
Because people are going to do it anyway. So then the question becomes less about, you know, is this a good thing or a bad thing, and more about how do we apply this technology to keep everybody safe, because people are idiots.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, speaking of keeping cars safe, and just I got another one that's coming. John has texted through, and he says, "Hey, I want this is an older message. He says, I want a performance car that's affordable and not heavy on fuel consumption. 2-liter, 4-cylinder. I found the Opel Astra OPC to be the best out there. What do you guys think of that thing?"
I'm a big fan of the OPC. I liked it a lot. Opinions differ at MME HQ, but I thought it was a great car to drive. It was comfortable, it was quick, it made a very strange noise. It's got a Remus exhaust, it's an aftermarket company.
Because people are telling him, no, don't go near that.
Why not? If he likes the car, if he's driven, have you driven it? Drive the car, it's really fast, it's a good hot hatch, It's a good daily car as well because it's got plenty of room. I did airport runs with that car. Overall, recommend. I mean, really couldn't find too much to complain about. Okay, the Opel name isn't very well known out here.
And I wonder if that's part of the thing when
there's a
someone
bit of fear.
says.
But in Europe, I mean, Opels have been
Yeah.
established for a long time. They've been there for ages. In the UK, they're known as Vauxhalls. They're pretty well sorted cars. The only reason here that they're not so well known is that they're coming through the dealer and not through the principal, which is General Motors. So the dealer's bringing them, but they offer full service and support. They're basically buying them straight from the factory.
So do you think as an affordable little four-cylinder
It's
performance?
not affordable. I don't know if it's affordable per se. It's a high-performance car, the OPC.
I think it was slightly more than the Focus ST. I think it was about 120,
Although
130,
prices might have
something
come
like that.
down now in the
They
current
might have come
situation.
down,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Focus ST or the Opel? Would you
Focus
head,
ST.
You still head to the Focus?
Oh, I
Yeah.
like the Opel. I like the
Oh,
Opel.
no. Focus ST.
He's completely wrong.
No.
Oh, there's also the Golf GTI, which is the default choice for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Not for me, but I think for a lot of people, it's the car that you buy because it's got good.
But if you're
solid resale.
considering a Golf GTI at this point in time, there's a limited edition of 70 GTI Clubsports. Now you may just think that's just a badge on the car. No, this is a very different beast, and it's fantastic. And if you're going to get GTI, that's the one to get.
It
but
makes
hurry.
the Golf R pointless.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's absolutely brilliant. That's the one to get. Simple.
Motoring Middle East is in the house. This is Car Talk. More to come. Motoring Middle East is here. They're in the house. We're talking cars, and we were just having a bit of a conversation about the Mini. And one of the things I was saying to Shazad was I saw a Mini today, and I'm not typically a fan of the Minis. And I figured out what it is, because this is why I like this Mini, is usually they've got flare kits on them, they've got all sorts of wild
They're
colors.
always accessorized.
Yeah.
And Mini encourage you to accessorize the
So
cars.
many accessories. So today, a silver Mini Cooper, not a Cooper S, not a Cooper this, not a Countryman, just a Mini Cooper, silver, no trim package, went by me. I went, wow, what is that car? and took a second look and took a third look and said, oh, that is a sweet ride.
So the irony of the whole customization and accessorization is that the plain Jane car is the one that now stands out because
Well, when's the last time you saw a G-Class that wasn't a 63? That wasn't a 65. When did you see a G500 or, heaven help you, a G350?
that stands out though, doesn't it? When you
Yeah.
see one of those, you go, whoa, look at that.
So I happen to know that Mercedes has a G-Class Professional sitting up at the office in Jebel Ali. And that is a stripped out off-road ready version. I think it's a diesel, so it means it's immensely slow. But basically it'll last forever. And they brought it in for various reasons for testing, and then they just hung on to it over the years. So this thing has been to, Oman, it's been to the Wahiba Sands, it's done Levi, it's done everything, and it is full of sand.
Wow.
It's absolute, but it's a hard-working car, and that's what a G-Class has been to do, not loiter about on the boulevard. But hey ho, that's what people do with the cars.
But the problem with the Mini is, as we were discussing, the price.
The price.
The price. I mean, 165,000 for a Cooper S. That's the price that I have. I don't know if it's up or down from there. I mean, you're talking. What else can you get? The old Camaro was 169,000.
Yeah.
And that's the SS version. And you go, okay, Mini Cooper S or that. You got Audi S3 for 155,000. You got the Volvo V40 T5 for 109,000. You got Sirocco R for 125,000. I mean, really, you can't justify that price.
This becomes the challenge.
farcical, doesn't it? And you got the Golf R, which a lot of people aspire to. That's about 160 to 180.
Yeah.
And that's sold out for 3 months.
Yeah.
So
I don't think the Mini is.
Mini's a great car, but they need to bring the
price
prices down. But
we were talking earlier about autonomous cars and all these features, and Bag has come through and says, guys, what you're forgetting is cars that will be autonomous will not be driven by you. It will be Gen Next who will not want to look over their shoulders in reverse. So
yeah, but you're absolutely right, Beg, but that's not happening in the immediate future. I would give it 10 to 15 years before we actually have that becomes a widespread thing. We will have the way this is going to work is the manufacturers have two issues here. One is the legislation side, road safety legislation, insurance legislation. None of that is in place yet. In America, states have to say whether they will allow these cars or not individually on the roads. The other problem they have is human nature. We're not ready to accept these cars yet. So there's going to be.
You're not ready to accept
yeah,
this
that's
car
what they're
yet.
saying. We're not ready.
Well,
but
you say that, but I think for a lot of people that is still true. The thought of just allowing a car to drive by itself, I think, is quite a scary proposition. So I think the way this is going to work is these autonomous features, for example, the likes of which we're seeing on the E-Class and many other cars at the moment, is a process of weaning us off driving. It's the process of us getting comfortable and allowing the cars to take over certain aspects, So this isn't going to happen overnight. And yes, we are going to have autonomous cars probably within 10 years, but there isn't going to be a mass changeover. I think that will happen. I'm looking at the 15 to 20 year mark for that. But but you're quite right. I mean, once you get to that stage, you won't have a steering wheel or anything big.
Yeah.
You'll just get into a pod.
Yeah. It's going to be terrible.
That's it.
And to be honest with you, let's take that a step further, right? Let's commit to this really weird future. Why would you own a car then? You'd have a collection of pods that say Lexus or BMW or whatever on it.
Yeah.
And why would you own a car that you have to park and keep dry? You just summon it on your arm phone, and the thing comes to you, takes you around, and you basically lease BMWs via your app, and you just go, okay, I want a car to come to me that says BMW on it.
They just use holographs on the outside, and they just change it into anything you want it to be.
That's
I mean, the whole point of styling then becomes moot, because ultimately you don't have to own the car. Okay, it's like an app when you have in-app purchasing and you get new features.
Yeah.
Okay, this week I'm driving a 3 Series. I want to pay a little bit more. I want to impress somebody on a date. 5 Series, 7 Series, it's convertible. You just press a button and the different car turns up.
There you go. See?
I've actually just solved autonomous
But the thing
cars.
is, you can
You're into it.
But the thing is, you can kind of do that now with the BMW. I think it's called Drive Me, if I'm mistaken. That's what it is. There's a process. There's a program.
That is a terrible name for
something
a
like
program.
that. There's a program in Europe where BMWs, you don't have to own them. You basically have an app, and you pay a yearly subscription, and you look on your app and you see where the nearest one is, and you can literally go and take that car. And then wherever you leave it, the next person will take it from there. So you could be driving a 1 Series or a 3 Series convertible.
I love it.
I like to know what car I'm driving. Call you old-fashioned.
They'll be on the app.
Yeah.
There you go. Cian's come through, and he following up on our conversation about the Opel OPC, saying, guys, what about the Fiat Grande Pinto? And he goes on, Abrath.
Punto. I think he means Punto.
Yeah,
well, one problem, that car isn't sold here.
Well, that's what he's saying. It's an Italian hot hatch. He says it's awesome.
Yeah, but there are other Italian hot hatches that are sold here. So, staying in the Fiat brand, you can buy the Fiat 500 Abarth. It is here. The Fiat 500 is
Only
here.
as the very expensive Ferrari Tributo edition, though.
No, I think you get the regular one now. Is it not here yet?
No, it's not here.
Okay.
It's just one of those homologation things. Homologation. That's the word.
Homologation.
It's the same reason we don't get the fantastic Renault Megane trophy, which is now probably, I think, run out now, so it's not coming anymore.
Okay, so you can, however, you can get the Alfa Romeo Giulietta.
Yes,
and
beautiful.
the Mito, I believe.
And the Mito. But the Giulietta QV
is it nice to drive, though? I mean, it looks nice, but
I ran it last summer in the UK. It was fantastic. It sounds great, goes great, looks stunning. It's the Maverick hot hatch.
Okay.
It's for the person that wants a hot hatch but wants to stand out. He's got a bit of style.
Okay.
And he says it like that.
Yeah.
Motoring Middle East is here, by the way. If you're wondering what you're listening to, this is Car Talk. Okay, Hari's come back in with a question about dealers, an observation. And he's saying, while on the topic of dealers, he says, why does BMW seem to have such a good dealer system in the capital region, but a very different experience is being had in the rest of the regions in the UAE as far as options on cars, be it for new, used, as well as quality of after-sale service? Why would there be a difference across the country? Guys got any observations on that?
Well, technically there shouldn't be. It's like McDonald's.
Yeah.
The McDonald's that you eat here in Dubai Mall should be the same one that you eat in City Center Fujairah. It's theoretically it's supposed to be the same. But that's just down to how individuals run those franchises.
A lot of the time it is just the individual service advisor or salesperson that you meet. And look, everybody's got an issue. You never know what kind of mood the person's in. If you've had a bad experience or a good one, always say if you have a good one, also write about it as well. Go to the principal. And I'm not talking about the dealer. I'm talking about the particular person that brings the cars in. So in this case, we're talking about BMWs. BMW Middle East, leave a message on their Facebook. Tweet them. They're very responsive. And if you have an experience you're not happy with, you can talk to them and they will follow it up. Usually offline, they'll give you a call. All of the major manufacturers have a system of this sort. So if you're not happy, speak out. Now, again, when I say speak out, I stress that you should attempt to be civil at all times, no matter how interesting the experience has been. If you want to get something done, be as polite as possible, keeping in mind the laws of the country, and just generally you want to get satisfaction. You don't want to berate somebody. That's not the objective here.
We're talking cars. If you got questions, got observations, this is absolutely the place you want to be. Sajid's come through and says, hi guys, Sajid speaking here. Just wanted to say that I totally understand why Shahzad follows Durangos around because of their gorgeous taillights. He says, I often follow around cars with active rear spoilers just so that I can see them in action. My personal favorite would be the multi-piece active spoiler on the Panamera GTS.
So that will be my argument in court when I'm done for stalking people.
I mean, I don't know if Sajid knows
I'm
this,
not
but
abnormal. Other people do it too.
I don't know if Shazad knows this either, but there are videos on YouTube of these lights and these spoilers.
So you want me to just sit there watching them
on
all
a
day
loop,
long?
yes.
Okay, fine.
It's safer
Maybe
for
I'll
all
just
of
do
us. He'll just be Snapchatting. Look at this, I'm seeing this amazing spoiler.
Dear, oh dear.
Another quick one, and this is the challenge we have constantly. Yeah, going to the agency to get your vehicles repaired, or going to a decent garage. And Kumar is saying, any ideas anywhere you can recommend for getting a Porsche repaired, that a garage to go to aside from the dealer?
There are a lot of people that do
There's
repairs.
a Porsche Club, isn't there? Also,
The Porsche Club's the best place to start because they'll have people who have cars out of warranty and they'll be replacing them. No particular endorsement because I don't know any of these brands or use them, but look at people like Tony Edwards, Alex Renner Motors. They're the people who specialize in Porsches. Having said that, go there, talk to the sales advisors, see if you like them.
Yeah.
You may find yourself wanting to go back to the dealer at the end of the day. So caveat emptor.
And on a more basic level, in response to what you said at the beginning of that question, should it be a dealer, should it be independent? I think the rule is pretty clear that if the car is new, if it's still under warranty, under service package, always go back to the dealer.
Yeah.
Because even if it's going to cost you more, it's safer to do that. Because if there is a warranty claim, which in a Porsche, for example, if you're talking about a change in engine or a transmission,
it can happen.
You know what? You don't want your warranty invalidated, so you want to make sure you go back to the dealer.
Absolutely. We're heading to line one. We got a caller joining us. Good evening. Welcome to the program.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, you know what? I'm doing well, and the boys are doing well also.
Good. Thanks, yeah. This is the first time I'm calling to a radio station.
Hey, welcome. The first time. This is great news.
Whoa.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you, guys. And I often listen to your program, but randomly, to be honest. Like, when I change the stations, it comes automatically. So
No, set it on automatic. Monday night, 9 o'clock. Just be here, okay?
Yeah.
No randomization.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks. See, I work in a garage. I moved my job only because of my passion with the automobile.
Uh-huh.
I have, I'm working as a manager now. The thing is, I have a question, there's two different cars, the Nissan Armada and Nissan Infiniti QX56. Do you know, are they similar or is there some difference?
Okay.
So the Armada and the QX60 you're talking about, the QX80.
No.
60 is a completely different car.
The
QX60
is the JX.
is basically the Pathfinder-based Infiniti.
And the QX80 is the Patrol.
Yeah.
Not
All
the
these-
Armada. There isn't an Armada version of an Infiniti.
Let's be careful here because all of these cars are based on the Armada platform. The Patrol, the Armada, and the QX80 all run on the same bones. So the QX80 is the one that's similar to the Patrol, similar to the Armada.
In which case, I would just get the Patrol.
Yeah.
No, I'm just confused about Armada, which looks exactly the same like the QX56. But is there any difference or any size difference or something?
No, the Armada doesn't. The Armada is the older car and doesn't look the same. In the US, the new Armada actually looks like the Patrol. So if you're looking at pictures of the Armada for 2017, in the US, it is the Patrol.
Yeah.
They've just put the Patrol in the US on sale.
So the Patrol in America is called Armada now.
Oh, all right. Okay.
But looks like the Patrol.
Yeah.
There we go.
Right, good.
But if the question is between Infiniti or Nissan, I would just go with the Nissan because you get pretty much everything. So why pay the extra money?
There you go. Hey, thank you very much for joining us. I got to let you go, and we'll talk to you really soon. And great to have you joining us as a first-time listener.
Thanks.
We'll talk to you again. Thank you very much. Okay, so we got a whole bunch of texts coming through. We want to power through them. We got one of your old classmates, Imtishan, joining us.
It's not Shazad because all of them are retired.
Well, they're not here for a start.
So Gorang is joining us, and he's
Playing bingo.
totally up for an autonomous Audi RS7. He'd love it. He'd love it to be driving the Hockenheim.
all of this ranting and raving that we do, I mean, this goes back to the whole manual gearbox versus automatic gearbox. You know, we have a lot of our enthusiast readers, and I'm making speech marks in the air as one does. We have our enthusiast readers that tell us we like manuals, save the manual, protect the manual, it's an endangered species. And okay, what do they go and buy? Well, they all storm out and they all buy automatics.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we go to the manufacturer. The manufacturers say, well, everybody's buying automatics. What should we do?
By the way, quite a few people use the slightly sexist excuse that my wife can't drive an automatic. I know of a very well-known racing driver who bought it and his wife wanted to buy a manual, but he wanted to buy an automatic.
Yeah, there we go.
So
Questions coming in from Sanjay about the Chevy Malibu. He says, what's your opinion on the car, and should I consider some other options for the price point? It seems to be a lot on offer.
I've driven it. It's good. They're all good. Everything in that segment is good. If the Malibu styling appeals to you.
So I'm assuming, when he says price point, I'm assuming he means the current Malibu, because there's a brand new one on the way.
Well, I've driven the new one, which is not on sale here yet.
It's not on sale yet, but so it makes sense that he could be getting a good deal on the current one. And if he's happy with the car, then he should go for it, because there's nothing wrong with that car. It's a good car.
But it should be a really good deal, right?
But it should be a really good deal, because if he likes Malibu for Malibu, there is a really cool-looking new car coming out very, very soon. So if he wants to hang on for a really good-looking car, then go for that one. If he wants value, then go for this one.
All right, there we go. Okay, that's not helping, really, is it?
No, it is.
Okay.
It is. In my world, it made perfect sense.
If you had a choice between a Mercedes-Benz E250 or an E450, 450 all the way?
Yeah, why would you buy the smaller engine one? If you can afford a 450, buy the 450. Unless you're commuting to Abu Dhabi.
I don't know what a 450 is anymore, though. That's the only thing.
That's a good question. I thought you were the man who'd learned all the E-Class numbers.
Yeah, I thought you knew all the numbers.
No,
250 would be a 2-litre turbo.
They've changed all the numbers now, haven't they? I mean, they don't mean what they used to mean.
So it's not a 4.5-litre V8.
Exactly. It's not a 4.5-litre V8,
or 2.5-litre 6.
No.
Now, what do you think if I'm going from a Ford Edge to, one of the E-Class, a 250, or, heading into the 4s?
Well, the Mercedes is like, for a lot of people, like I said, it's a dream come true. It's one of those cars that, one day in life I shall have a Mercedes, and if you've reached that point in time and you can do that, then you should certainly go and do that, There's nothing wrong with a Ford Edge. It's a fantastic car. There's a brand new, all new Ford Edge probably hitting showrooms just about now, or certainly in the latter part of this year. So that's one to watch out for. But if you've always wanted a Mercedes, and he's going for a coupe, so it's a two-door, and you have an opportunity to get one, then by all means do it. It's got to be done. It's one of those things. Just check the engines and stuff like that. Because the trouble with these numbers, and the reason why I'm feigning confusion, actually I am confused, is because some of these cars, some of the smaller engined cars are actually the newer engine. So they're better tech, more efficient, more economical. And so a lot of these new 2-litre turbos are absolutely amazing engines, and they're probably the ones to go for rather than the older tech V6s, if you see what I'm saying. Yeah. So a little bit of research is required there, particularly if he's referring to a new car, to go and check exactly what engine that refers to and which one is a newer engine.
Okay. Here's an interesting observation, and it's come from one of our listeners. Says, I'd like to share an experience on giving feedback to European and Korean car manufacturers. The Korean manufacturers never seem to respond, whereas the Europeans take it seriously and get back immediately. Just talk, he or she is just sent through an SMS.
Well, I guess, that's again down to what we were saying earlier about, the corporate
it's a culture
identity.
thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a corporate identity. It's how the dealers are required, how they're trained, how they're formalized, how they're told that they should be dealing with customers. The Europeans are a bit more stringent about that. I'm not saying the Europeans are perfect, because there's a lot of people out there that are immediately going to message in saying, I had this problem and I had that problem, whatever. So obviously it's down to the individual and what relationship you have and what problem you have and what issue you have. But I can understand that the European informed dealers would be a little bit more mature than the Korean ones, because let's face it, they're a little bit newer in the market. So.
Shazad, I was trolling through the Facebook page of Motoring Middle East, just a wealth of knowledge there.
That's a great website, isn't it?
It is. You were talking about the Kia Carnivals.
Kia Carnival, yes.
That MPV.
Yes.
And the first thing that came to my mind, Kia Carnival, Honda Odyssey. Where would you go?
I haven't driven the Kia.
Does it matter how the Kia drives?
Well, that's true. Well, actually, you're absolutely right. It's not about how these MPVs drive. It's about how they fit the family. And we do know that the Odyssey has got lots of clever touches in it. It's got lots of compartments. It's got a vacuum cleaner in the back. It's got little places where you can put dustbins. So that's a lot of, and a widescreen TV. So it's a lot of clever touches. I don't know what the Kia's got, because I haven't actually tried
everything the Honda does, but about 30% cheaper.
Quite possibly.
Yeah. And actually, it's a good, smart-looking thing.
Well, I've got to say the new one.
That's what I was going to say, because the picture that you referred to, which I put up earlier today, I just saw it in the car park, and I saw one driving earlier, and I was looking at them going, it's a very good-looking MPV, isn't it?
And to me, this is the whole market that, unless you're a hotel, really is underrepresented in family vehicles. Everyone's going out to buy a four-wheel drive when really what they need is an MPV.
Well, we every week, nearly every week, so far not this week, but nearly every week we get a question, don't we? I've just had a baby and I want to buy the biggest SUV out there.
Or a Volvo.
Yeah. And you go, why? You know, you don't. First of all, you
one
don't
baby, not 5 babies. One baby.
Yeah, one little baby. It's about this big. You know what I mean? It's like you don't need that.
I mean, they get bigger.
They get bigger, but you know, they're still this big.
You have time.
When I had my first kid, I had a Honda CRX.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, so and I had to figure out how to jury rig a baby seat into the back bench. You know, so anyway,
MacGyvered that CRX.
I did, and I had to drop Junaid in through the hatchback because there wasn't enough room to the seat. So
not recommended today.
Not recommended, but an MPV is custom designed, is actually designed to be a family vehicle, is designed to be a proper 7-seater for 2 kids. It has the facilities, it has storage spaces. It's not designed to go off-road, so there's no compromise.
All these minivans just get a bad rap because you know,
but they are a dirty word now. That's the problem. I mean, nobody wants to be seen in the family estate or station wagon.
But they were, don't you think? Don't you think there's a bit of a comeback now?
No, there's no comeback.
I think we should start a comeback.
Yeah,
well,
I think you're
wanting and having is two different things.
We're going to start a comeback. Okay, we've got one last one from Said. Said's come through and says, quick question. So this is it. You don't have a chance to think, debate. You just have to come out with the answer. A four-wheel drive, which makes a statement at about 150,000 dirhams. It doesn't matter the brand, new, second-hand, it doesn't matter. I just want to spend that much money on a four-wheel drive that makes a statement.
I imagine all three of us are thinking the same car, right?
What are we thinking?
Go on. You first.
Well, a four-wheel drive that makes a statement.
At 150.
Wrangler.
Oh, I was going to say second-hand Range Rover.
I was going to say
really
a Patrol.
Range Rover.
Okay.
No.
So clearly my assumption was completely wrong. We're not on the
Super
same
Safari.
wavelength at all.
I was going for a Patrol Super
So
Safari.
basically, we've gone with like rustic cowboy. We've gone with family action man and snob.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
There we go.
So it depends on which of those you attribute to yourself.
It's how you see you. That was a Rorschach test of a question.
Basically.
Gentlemen, we've run up the clock. I look forward to doing it.
What a great way to end it, though.
Look forward to doing it all again next week. Same place, same time, Car Talk. And if you missed anything, podcast will be up before too long. Dubai1038.com/Nightline. Go check out their Facebook page, Motoring Middle East. Go to their website. All sorts of information, including a comparison buyer's guide on there.
Yes, that's right. New car buying guide. Just hit the link on the top right of the website.
So go check that out. Guys, we'll talk to you again next week. It's been great.
Thank you so much.